I've made an unwise purchase. So I went to Aldi because I needed some stuff for a holiday next year. And literally like 2 days ago, excuse me, I haven't really spoken yet today. Literally 2 days ago, I was waxing lyrical about how old sewing machines are the best and you just never buy a new sewing machine. However, they had a mini sewing machine. And it was like 17 quid. And I was suddenly gripped with the need to know whether it works and how well. So every plan I had has been derailed because I need to investigate this. So what I think I'm going to do is I've got a couple of Christmas fat quarters that I wanted to turn into drawstring bags anyway. That strikes me as quite a straightforward sewing project with not a huge amount of maths and not huge thick layers of fabric. So it feels like a good test. If you can't get through 2 fat quarters, then there's no point. We should just all go home. So yeah, I recognise that I have been swayed by the forces of capitalism and convenience. However, it's done now, so now we need to figure out if it works. Alright, ignore the state of my desk. We're not in tidy mode. Let's unpack this little baby. Okay, the last time I had a sewing machine from new was when I was like 12. So we're gonna look at everything. Don't use soft or elastic fabrics. If you do, check. You might have to put paper under it to help it handle it. Well, that's helpful, I suppose. Instructions. Ooh, bobbins and a needle threader. 1 bobbin, 2 bobbin already threaded, that's nice. Bobbins and a needle threader and thoughts? That's got to be a spare something, right? In cardboard so you don't lose it. Okay, bits. Bits and bobbins. What's in this? Ah, batteries. Right, I hope never to use those. A pile of rubbish. My little rubbish pot. Look at that! It's so small! We've got mains charger, we've got the foot pedal, and it's already preloaded with white thread on a little bobbin here. So it just has the 1 bobbin. Right, what the manual say? We know all these thread tensiony bits. 6 bobbin holder. Could have guessed that. Hand wheel, yes. Bobbin winder. You see an 8 on there? Because I can't. Oh, it's there. Oh. Sewing light, on-off sewing function. Well, we do want the sewing to function. And then this is to go backwards. 19 bobbin compartment. Aha! Right, this is better than I thought. There is an under bobbin. It's just, I couldn't find it. And it's already in and loaded with white, so nice. Thread cutter. Ooh, neat. So I don't know where the cutoff was there. Sorry if it was abrupt. The mic ran out, so I've swapped, so we're good. So I suppose the next thing to do is there's a nice convenient little piece of fabric that they've put in here so that it's kind of ready threaded. So I think what I might do is plug it in and see how fast it goes. And maybe try and do a bit of upsy downsies and just kind of get a sense of it. It doesn't seem like it does any different stitch lengths, but that's fine. The other machine does in theory. This is very much going to be your basic, quick little guy. So I should make some sort of bag for him. Oh no, wait, it came in a box. I should have rubbish put it back in the box when I'm done so it doesn't get dusty. Okay, let's plug it in. Somewhere in the manual it said there was a light. A little baby light. Yeah, you can see the difference. On the speed thing, do you think I opt into high or do I opt into low? Because it says high-low and there is a single button. Speed switch. H equals high, L equals low. That doesn't actually help me though. I guess we find out by pressing it. I feel like you should opt into low. Oh, it's immediately got stuck. I'm going to rethread it. Actually didn't need to rethread it, just pulled the hand cranked it backwards and it went ahead fine. So that's it on with the button on. Turn that off. The stitches in the back and the front look the same. That's always nice. Let's try and go backwards slowly. Okay, so it does work, but it needs a little bit of help pulling it that way. That's fine. So if we take this out now, I kind of love this. Even if all it can do is chug away and put two quite thin pieces of fabric together, I kind of love it. It's so small. The instructions... Oh, hang on. Oh, I've got something there. It's fine. The instructions are very thorough. This is very much, like, accessible for someone who's never used a sewing machine before. And there are some things that I don't know, even though I have used a sewing machine before. So actually that was quite useful. So now that we have a sewing machine, I guess the next thing to do is find some kind of pattern or instructions for a really simple drawstring bag, because the last time I drafted a bag it was fine, but it took me a couple of goes to get it going, and I kind of just want to bang these out, so I need a proven method. Alright, so I appreciate this is a low camera angle for me, but you need to be able to see the area. So I've got scissors, pins, I've got some nice red ribbon, and these Christmassy fat quarters, poinsettia design. We've got mistletoe. Anyway, that's holly. This is mistletoe. And then, is that poinsettia again? Yeah, I think that's poinsettia again. So we're going to go with classic dark green and gold poinsettia and this nice kind of mistletoe fabric that's a little more subtle as our two bags. So I was right, it's very easy to find a drawstring tutorial. I found in about 2 minutes one from sewcraftyme.com, which I will link in the description. Looks fairly straightforward, except she works in inches, so I just need to deal with that. Measuring tape? Thoughts? Mini sewing kit never fails me. There we go. There's like 3 in here. It doesn't seem from the instructions that there's a problem with cutting it in half, so I think that way makes squarer, doesn't it? I should iron these. Alright, I have ironed the fabric. This seems quite straightforward. I think the tutorial does have measurements, but basically I think if I just cut this in half, and then yes, I'm going to cut it in half and sew it back together, but I think that will make it easier because they've got a 2-sided drawstring and I want that. I'm going to cut this in half and then sew back together. And then, loosely speaking, that's how bag make. They don't match perfectly, but that will be borne out in seam allowances, I'm hoping. 2 inches from the top, 2 inches. And then we pin the whole thing. And then we sew that, so that seems fairly straightforward. Come on, tiny machine. There's a little light on. Okay, alright. I feel I have no stitches. Why is this? Oh, because you need to be both under there. Is that why? Can't be why. Let's try it anyway. tying stitches. The needle had come unthreaded again. Alright, take 2. Or whatever number we're on. Why have got so much thread? You shouldn't have... Whatever that is, you shouldn't have it. Come on now, that's just silly. Let's try again. Well, now you're not threaded again. I'm going to save you this, and I'm actually just going to stop recording until I am in the sewing. I was threading the needle right to left, and I should have been threading it left to right. Sewing machines are kind of wizards. Oh. Well, now I know where my 2-inch marks went. This is upside down from what I had intended. I don't think it'll make a difference, if I'm being honest. That is not bad. So I've made tiny little slits here and here, and now it wants me to fold those in and press them. What I'm going to do is crease the fabric because if anyone has a recommendation for tiny desk irons that aren't that expensive, that would be great, and then I can start completing my mini sewing collection and just work on tiny machines forever. That would be great, because there's too many things in between me and the iron. So I'm just gonna stitch these, it says. So I'm gonna do that. You're gonna eat the thread again, aren't you? Stop. Oh, you're stuck. Oh, there's too many threads coming out the bobbin. Okay, I rethreaded it and did it again, and that worked. However, I've sewn them to each other. I don't think that's right. This would then fold down. See, I don't think that's true. These have to be done separately. Okay, well, my phone's about to run out of charge, so I'm gonna faff about with these and then come back to you. Right, while you were taking a bit of a nap, I did successfully manage to sort out the top. That looks quite nice, actually. And then I also, as instructed, folded the corners sideways and chopped them off. I did it with pinking shears because this fabric is quite fray, and I thought that would be cuter in the long term. So the next thing we have to do is the ribbon. I'm a bit worried about where this joins here. I might have to put some more stitches in there just because it feels like a point that's going to fray. But I think the next thing to do is to thread the ribbon through, attached to a safety pin, this recommends. So what they've done is put one piece of ribbon through, so one through this side and one through this side. What I think I might do is put one like this and one like this, because that makes for a nicer drawstring effect. So I'll need more ribbon than they've used. But I think that's fine. And then allegedly it's done. But like I say, I might put an extra stitch in that corner. Then I think what I'm going to do is mock up, sew the other one. And then I feel like that will have been a good test run of this little machine's abilities. So we can convene at the end and reflect and discuss. Safety pin. Oh, my hidden threads are coming out. Okay, so I'm going to tie these in just a simple knot. Okay, ignoring the threads for a second, That's so nice. I've said it before and I'll say it again, make something. It doesn't have to be complicated, doesn't have to take very long, doesn't even have to be that polished and good. Instant dopamine. It is quite long, but I think it'll be nice once it's got some things in it. I'm going to neaten this one up, sew the other one, and then I'll come back once I've done that and we will talk about whether or not this was a good idea. 2 Christmas bags. They're so cute. I really like them. I really like how they've turned out. They're sort of proportionally quite long, but I think they're going to function sort of instead of stockings. So actually I think that shape kind of works. We just have to wrap stuff up in big things so that it fills a bit more of the space. Because we're not going ham on stockings this year, but these themselves as gifts I think are really delightful. And it was definitely faster, or most of it was faster doing it on even this tiny machine than doing it all by hand, which is what I would normally do. So, pros and cons of my new tiny Sam. It worked honestly better than I thought it would once we kind of got into the swing of things and I understood what it liked and what it didn't like. In doing these corners, it went over 8 layers of fabric in the kind of very corner of that seam, and it seemed okay with that. So that bodes well for trying to do bigger things with it. So yeah, I've kept it on low speed pretty much the whole time. So I've done a couple of bursts of high, but honestly, because the machine's not very heavy, it moves when you're sewing, because any kind of pushing against it, any sort of like trying to keep the fabric in line, this wiggles. So it's quite hard to go fast. You tend to veer because it just doesn't have the weight that it needs to. Maybe I could put a weight behind it or something to stop it from moving. But yeah, it just doesn't on its own have the weight to stay stable on the table. It will move around. I also haven't pressed sewing action off on because that seems kind of redundant. Backwards it does quite well. It's clearly less happy about going backwards than going forwards, but it does do it, certainly enough to kind of like shore up the end or the beginning of some sewing. It's fairly straightforward to thread. I'm using the thread that it came with and that seems like it's totally fine. I don't have any complaints with that at all. I do like the thread cutter on the side here, which if mine has, I haven't noticed that it has, but that's been really straightforward to use. I've really enjoyed using that as well. So in general, yeah, I mean, obviously it doesn't do variable speed, which the other one does. I can make it go really slow. It does 2 speeds, but the slow speed is fine to get where you need to go, and the hand crank is great for getting there a little bit more carefully. And obviously it doesn't do different kinds of stitches, it just does the one straight stitch, but for 98% of my sewing, like if I was doing decorative, I'd probably be doing it by hand anyway. The machine is very much for practical needs to be done, so I don't mind that. Whether it lasts is another question. You can't replace the light, that was in the instructions, and it looks like you'd have to split the whole thing apart to get to its innards. So how long it might last, I can't say, which is going to be the problem with cheap machines like this probably, but for the moment, I've really enjoyed using it as a kind of little baby workhorse once we got the hang of it. So yeah, thank you for keeping me company on whether or not this is, whether or not I should have bought this tiny sewing machine at Aldi. I stand by it. I have done a task that I've been meaning to do for a hot second, so that's done, out of the way, good and fine. And yeah, it seems a little bit less daunting than using the big machine. So I think for kind of quick things, particularly if the thread color doesn't really matter, or if it just needs to be like a bit of straight stitch just to speed me up, I think I probably will pull this out, and then the big machine for chunkier projects, basically. So yeah, I wouldn't say rush out to buy one, but certainly if you need a little workhorse machine and you don't want to spend a lot of money, it was not a lot of money. It was like $17.99 or $16.99 or something like that. I mean, it didn't, combust the second I got it home, so I've got some sewing out of it at least. So that's that for today. Thank you for keeping me company. Take care, and I'll see you on the next project.